Sound check, 1, 2.
This is the 217 Recovery Podcast with Corey Winfield.
We get it, that's the past, but we need to focus more on having fun and being goofy, being ourselves.
Yeah. Being goofy, being ourselves is the 15th of May, 2021. My name is Corey Winfield.
This is Marnie Winfield.
And we have a special guest.
We do.
Very special guest. Her name is Sandra D.
Hi, Sandy.
Hi, I'm Corey's mommy.
That's what my sister calls her, Sandra D. Hey, Mom, how are you?
Good, how are you? Long time no see.
You know, we had, Marnie and I went to an AA meeting earlier in Stevensville.
Yeah, how was the meeting?
Well, it was good. It was all right. But they passed out little pieces of paper, and it was the daily reflections and stuff from January 4th, which talked about when you go to AA and you're in a meeting and everything, you know, you can get stuff worked out and you feel good. But taking that out into daily life and like taking those skills that you're practicing like in the real world, because that's where, you know, most of it is done. You know, like when we leave those meetings, like the real world, it doesn't stop for us. Nobody stops and says, "Oh, you're an alcoholic. Oh, let me just..." No, like we got problems, all kinds of stuff. Example, like if you have a bad router and you're trying to get some internet going, you're trying to get a new open, like upload it to the computer so you can do some.
You're the only one in the world that has problems with my router, I swear. Anyway.
Jesus and technology with phones and routers and stuff, he thinks it's funny. He thinks it's real funny that I can never get good service.
I'm glad you
Marnie can test,
Jesus
you know.
laugh.
I don't know. It's funny to him.
You think so?
What?
Maybe it's funny to the devil. Maybe you're tickling the wrong one.
No, the devil's gonna be like, yeah, let's give him that phone. Let's make sure he has everything he needs.
Anyways, how did you stop from telling me about the paper they passed out from way back in January?
No.
They're like, we better pass out these January ones.
Because God wanted it that way, because he knew I was going to be frustrated with this router.
January 4th, so he'll make sure they know what happened on January 4th.
I don't know why God did that, but
God was at your meeting or the people?
No, he knew that I was going to be frustrated with this router, and he did that because he knew I'd be coming to the meeting, and that I'd be frustrated with this router, and I was going to be practicing those skills.
Did everybody have the same slip of paper?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
But it was dated January 4th.
Yeah.
And it said, have patience.
No.
Oh. Well, what was the advice?
To take the skills, your daily frustrations, to work through them.
You know, they might have stole that out of a fortune cookie.
I think they stole that out of the Daily Reflections book. That's what it came from.
So you're calling the fortune cookie people thieves? They stole it? Sounds like something.
I don't know. I don't want to battle with China
cookie.
anymore. I'm done with China. They put COVID in ice cream to personally take me out, and I don't appreciate
that you weren't at a Chinese restaurant?
Yeah, positive.
Sounds like fortune cookie to me.
Once they put
the on the back.
China put the COVIDs in the ice cream to take me out, so I'm not messing with China no more. I have no beef. I like their stuff they make, and then I use it a lot. So I'm just gonna leave that alone.
Don't talk about ice cream and COVID, because then people are going to think that you're woohoo.
Man.
No, they put ice cream or COVID in ice cream.
What the heck are you talking about?
You need to watch. I shouldn't be telling you this. You need to watch more news.
I don't watch Fox. That's one thing, that crappy thing. But anyway, just to bring up some argumentative things, I suppose. But either way, so you saw on a news channel that said they were putting COVID. So they took a deceased person, drew COVID out of their body.
No, they tested the ice cream and they were like, "Holy s, there's COVID in there."
Who did this?
Maximilian, whatever his name was, 80 Ton or whatever.
He done lost his mind.
No, I did a whole podcast about it. You didn't listen?
I guess not that one. How long ago was it? I'm still catching up.
Oh, it was months ago.
Oh.
You remember that, Marnie? You weren't on it.
I don't know. I wasn't on that one.
I think Tony was. Because the day before the podcast before we had talked about, I think that's when Tony and I were talking about, like, when did alcohol start? You know, when like with the first, and I just assumed it'd be somebody going out in the woods and, hey man, let's get this turned up. Let's drink some of this here potato water.
Bootleggers,
Well, no, I mean, but this goes
started
back like
way back in the
millions of
what do
years
you
ago,
call
though,
that?
in China.
Oh Lord!
And so I was like, can you imagine what they were doing? Ching chong, ching, oh, And,
Don't
I know, right?
Trying not to hate. Like, there's a lot of Asian stuff going on these days.
Okay,
you gotta
so
love Asian people right now.
No, I'm not saying I don't love. I'm just saying,
mean,
what would the
if-
China?
what if
It
I
wasn't.
was
It
Asian
didn't go
and
like
I
this.
was listening to your podcast.
Hey, Al, you want to go
And
get
now
some
you're
beer?
making fun of my great grandmother's speech.
Yeah, and that's what I do. I'm fun and recovery, man.
I didn't teach them that.
But
Everybody.
I'm back to the ice cream.
Mama didn't
China's
teach
after
them to
me,
be
and
that
that's
way.
fine because, like I said, I like their products. I'm done. Especially after
I would never buy ice cream from China. That is awful long, slow
Yeah,
boat.
you'd be surprised what comes from China.
Ice cream?
Yeah.
You know how slow the boats are that come from China?
Like
Have you ever
they're-
heard the term slow boat?
Don't you think they
China.
could mail the ingredients?
Well,
Where do you think Dairy
we
Queen
went
gets
to
their
an
ingredients?
ice cream shop with you in Traverse City. Remember?
I
Moomers,
don't.
Boomers. What's it called?
Moomers.
Moomers.
Never had
So, Sherman Dairy. We have
do you
plenty
think
of
they
ice
get-
cream in the United States.
where do you think
don't
they get
need
their-
to import it?
Their cheese from
What?
for their Danishes.
Wisconsin.
No, you'd think that, but the Wisconsin cows actually come from China,
What?
and so do the nipple ring things that they clamp on them that gets the milk out, and that's where they put the covers. I heard.
Oh, Lordy.
gets the milk out and stuff, and the one barns that they
Wake
put
up,
them in.
Corey. You're talking in your sleep. I think you fell asleep. Marty, that's probably something you should check on sometimes when you're doing podcasts late at night and he starts going off the rails. Because, he does talk in his sleep. Have you heard him yet?
stop.
Oh yeah.
That's some crazy stuff. One time, I walked in his bedroom, he sits straight up in bed, and he's younger, and he's like, yeah, well, those girls are climbing in the window. I'm like, what are you talking about? Well, they're right down the road, Mom. What are you talking about? The girls, they're going to come in the window. I'm like, no, they're not coming in your window. But anyway,
Are you
he
hallucinating?
was telling me
I
he
have no
was
idea if she
determined
speaks
there
of.
was girls on the corner. Something he was telling me it was like dead serious, and
All right, this is a good.
he was
Yeah,
asleep.
good-
Yeah,
good
so
show topic.
sometimes, folks,
let's get to know Corey.
he may fall asleep during his podcast when he's talking about ice cream coming from China.
I might have exaggerated a little there, but I'm just saying.
You exaggerate?
I'm just saying, China's the bottom line. China's after me, so I'm not making
China's after
anything
you?
about fortune cookies. I'm not making no jokes. I'm not implying that they did anything. 'Cause
Well, I wasn't
China's-
making fun of fortune cookies. I'm just saying that your
I don't
daily
want to go. I don't want
reflection-
to cross that line because they're already willing to go that far to put it in ice cream just to take me out because they know
No,
that I'm
remember
addicted
that
to ice cream.
scam
so.
callers that we had? That guy was the one that was going to come after you, remember? You were arguing with him when he was trying to tell you that you had to pay a lot of money or that one scam thing. And then you
that's
got him and you
awesome.
were just messing with that guy. And then he got so mad at you. And then he's like, I'm going to come and kill your whole family. And I'm sorry for that's how his accent. And it wasn't Chinese, it was the other kind. Now, I kind of am prejudiced on some of those people that blow us up, but, they're not all that way. But the ones that did do that, and then the ones that do scams, they're not very nice people.
We should scam them, is what I was thinking.
How
But
would
I don't
they
know enough about their culture or their.
They
system,
don't know
how it
about our
works.
culture.
I think their country, though, if you owe them money, they would just come snatch you right out your house. Like nobody's going to call them first. I'm like, no, you need to send me $14,000 to $70,000.
The police are on their way to your house right
They
now.
wouldn't. They would just go over there and take them.
Nobody calls us and tells us that kind of stuff. Police just show up. I
No,
guess,
but some people they fall for it, man. I don't know.
I know. I almost did at work one day when I got the call. I was
My name is Agent Michael Smith, and I'm calling. We're going to come take you to jail. No, you're not, man. Like, get off my phone.
Yeah, the latest one that I heard, I think it was on the podcast that you listened to, was saying that they're going to have to freeze that there's been unauthorized activity on your account, and all of your accounts will be shut down, and all of the gift cards that you've purchased, will be zeroed out unless you give us this information right now to keep your account open. And then they end up just taking a bunch of money out.
Mike ordered headphones for a tractor, like when he mows. And
Mike's
then
my stepfather.
on Amazon. And then the next thing you know, the next day or so, I got a call from Amazon just wanting to confirm my purchase of earbuds, which is different than headphones, but kind of. And
Amazon doesn't do
we
that.
just want to make sure that you made this $2,000 purchase. If not, call us back right away.
Marnie just got one of those.
I did.
And so I called Mike, like, how much you pay for those headphones? And then he told me, nowhere like that. I was like, I'm going to make sure of that first, that he didn't lose his mind to pay $2,000 for headphones. But anyway, I didn't call him back. Obviously, what they're probably going to do is like, you didn't make this purchase? No. Well, give us your card number. Let's verify it. Give us, they would get all your information from you then. Because you're going to want them to check into it and say, I didn't do it. But I just didn't even call him back. I wanted to call him back and then mess with him. But Mike's like, oh, it's not even worth it.
Was the number from, does it say where it was from? California?
I don't remember now. It was maybe a month ago or so.
I got one from California. Saying
Recently,
that
I did
suspicious
too with my Social
activity.
Security card. It's like trying to get me to call him back about that too. But yours was from California?
Yeah.
Yeah. I know. A lot of times they don't even leave a message, but then sometimes they do.
Yeah, so be aware.
But Corey, he really got this guy going. He had it on speakerphone too. I thought that guy was going to come through the phone. He was so mad at you.
I know, I heard a couple of them.
Yeah.
He was so mad at you.
Yeah.
Anyway, so everybody's sober today?
Yeah,
Yep,
for
I
sure.
Didn't drink at all today. And today. 2 years ago, well, actually, because it was a leap year, so it would have been yesterday. That's why I got the memory. But 2 years ago today, I had 5 months sober.
Wow.
I think I had 5 months, maybe one other time in my life, but I never had the 6 months. So I was creeping up on new territory, and I just started the podcast. I think it was in April. So the podcast has been going for about a month. We were getting ready to go to the UFAM rally, because we kind of jumped out and just were gangbusters. At least I was, with writing proposals and, hey, let us be a part of this event and let us show up. And we set up our tent there on the lawn in the Capitol building in Lansing, and it was kind of a big deal. And Rob got on the news because they were interviewing people, and people think it's real easy to do radio and stuff, and basically it kind of is, but if you go out to an event like the fair, they're the worst, or in these other events and you're talking to people all day, you get beat down. You are mentally drained at the end of it. So this TV crew comes up to us and they're like, hey, you want to talk? And I'm like, sure. And I probably sounded like I was the drunkest guy there. They're probably looking at me like, you're in recovery? Because I was just like, well, I'm murdered on this and blah, blah, blah. And everybody's looking at me, and Rob's like, I got this. And Rob could just blah, 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 so he got up there and was just like, all right, man, knock it out. And so we made the news and everything, which was really cool. And so that's what we were doing 2 years ago. So that's crazy how time kind of flies
time.
and kind of doesn't. It's time that I can remember now.
I can't wrap my mind around it, actually, because I remember when you had that. Wasn't it 5 months at Kylie's wedding?
Yeah, I think so.
It was right there in the line, I think.
No, not at her wedding. Travis's.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, Travis's wedding, not Kylie's. Oh, yeah, definitely not Kylie's. Oh, that wasn't a good time. that was a really bad time.
Yeah, that's funny. We can talk about that if you want. Yeah, sometimes we've got to share the bad stories, But I remember...
you left me at Kohl's, and you know what I was thinking? He probably went over to Angelo's and was getting some little drinks to hide in the car.
No.
Are you sure?
Yeah, positive. I wasn't hiding anything then.
Okay.
No, I was drinking openly then. You guys were like, hey, you got a problem. And I was really bitter towards my sister for not having me in her wedding. And I was hurt by that, and how do I hide my feelings? I drink, and then you drink, and then the feelings come right out. And it's just a bad situation. And I was just being real...
But she did ask him to do her music.
Yeah, which to me was a slap in the face. That's how I was thinking at that time.
I know she always had planned to ask you to do her music. I mean,
Still hurt, you know.
Enjoy.
But instead of handling it like an adult, like a grown up, you know, I handled it like somebody with a substance use disorder would
Because
handle it.
that's what we do, right?
Yep, I drank it, and then
and you know, back at
was
that
very-
time too, people probably gotta realize, like, if they know you're going to be drinking, maybe they thought that. But although I can't say.
yeah, who knows? But
I mean, not everybody else, like in their wedding party and all, was no innocent people. They're all drinkers, so that's what I'm trying to say. So at that time, anyhow, they were. So I mean, I don't think they would say, "Oh, Corey's going to get drunk," with it or not. But I don't know what the deal was. But I fought for you, but you were mad at me. Even it wasn't my fault.
yeah, my feelings are hurt. And like I said, I didn't handle it the best way. Like today, I'd be like, all right, cool. I don't have to run tux. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
I would. It's just
Yeah.
like, okay, cool. I'm still happy for her, but that's not my thing. That's her thing, and that's her wedding. And I wouldn't be so. I'd still be probably a little hurt, but it wouldn't be nearly as bad. I wouldn't, because I wasn't drinking. I wouldn't be drinking. So
When you're planning weddings, they do say you have to consider family and the feelings that people have, and I tried to convey that to her, but at the time. But either way,
because she wasn't my wedding.
Or you can
No,
just do what
so
we
there you
did
go.
and get married during a pandemic.
Yeah, we did that. Nobody was in our wedding. It was awesome. But no. So anyway, back to the story though. So I'm being very passive aggressive with it, and I'm talking shit to you, and
he was being a hole.
probably to put it nicely.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, I'm gonna leave then. And I was really intoxicated, and I went to grab my keys, and my younger brother Travis snatched them up. Was like, "You're not
Was
driving
Travis
anywhere." Yeah.
Oh.
And I was
yeah, I
like,
kept
man,
telling
whatever.
you.
And you're like, started screaming. And my stepfather
Yeah,
was.
I'm like,
He'd had
I
enough.
felt like I could have killed myself right then. I'd had it. The wedding was about to take
Yeah,
place.
pressure and stress really
Did
not
it?
the best.
For me?
Yeah.
Oh, no. At that time, her wedding was one of the most stressful things I ever went through. Oh, I don't even want to get into that. It's a different ball game. But I think it was was it the day before the wedding? Or no, the day after.
That was a couple days before.
Was it still? Oh, yeah, because you did
Or
take
might-
me to town that day. Next day, but you left me. And then I was crying on the sidewalk. We
That
so
was
mental.
Jerry that left you.
No.
Yep.
Anyway,
I didn't leave her. It was Jerry.
well, I thought you did, but my phone was dead, and I couldn't find you, and you had parked way, way over, 10 stores over, and I came out, and I'm ready to go. My feet are tired, and I have to hurry up, all these million things to do, and I know Corey, and my phone was dead. I got to come on for 1 second to try to call Mike, tell him to call you, and you weren't answering the phone when it was working, and somehow, a miracle, but I just sat on a curb in the parking lot and just start crying because I couldn't hold it anymore after everything. And some lady went by and screamed at me that things will get better. It's not that bad. I don't know.
Because you were upset.
And then when I came out of Kohl's, I sat on a bench and I was kind of crying too because I didn't know where he went. And she's like, "Oh, and I saw my daughter's getting married today, and she's being mean." And da-da. Well, she was kind of a bridezilla or whatever you call that to me, not everybody else necessarily. However, that's right, Kylie Michelle, if you listen to this, but
She's
I know
not
you probably
listening.
won't. But this woman's like, "Oh, your daughter will be all married and it'll be fine." But she was right. But I had a mental breakdown. But the fact that you were home and you were just sulking and making it known and being impossible. Like, instead of wanting to wear dress clothes, he was like, "I'm just wearing cut off blue jeans and I'm not even
I
dressing
can
up."
so see
I'm
him
like,
saying that.
Why? That's on you then. If you want to look that way around people, I don't know what he wanted me to do. And then all I had at the time was an air mattress for him to sleep on. I didn't have the bedroom in or nothing. Oh, I was mad about that and everything. But he was drinking. And so when he just kept going on and on about why Kylie didn't have him in the wedding and he had been drinking, he's like, "I only had a couple." I'm like, "No, you haven't." And then Mike tried talking to you about drinking and sitting here, and you act like you were listening to us, And I'm sure other people can relate that when they're parents or loved ones try to talk to them in a logical way that we think we're logically talking to you, forgetting that you are drunk, that you're really not hearing. But Mike was trying to, your stepdad, tell you about, you don't want to drink giving you some serious talk about it. And you're, yep, I know. But then you start back in about, but I don't understand why she didn't have me in the wedding. And I'm like,
crying.
Give me a knife. I'm going to kill myself. I know. I went berserk. I think I had a little mini nervous breakdown. I even talked to a counselor about it because I did. So much stuff was going on. But yeah, you were going to leave. And it's like, no, you're not. And then you grabbed your keys and then you started to go out here in the kitchen. And then Mike grabbed the keys away from you then. And you and Mike had a little shove up against he shoved you up against the stove. It started yelling at you. And then it was no more nice talk. He was saying, don't you know what you do to her? Because I was crying. Goes, don't you see how you hurt her all the time? And what you do to your mother? And I don't know if you were hearing it or not, but you sounds like you kind of remember it.
Yeah. And
you were hurt. And then you acted fine the next day or so. You took me to town, left me at Kohl's. And then we had the wedding, and you acted okay. But I don't know what happened. You told me about that night we talked after the wedding a little. And you told me about some of their friends betraying them, talking bad outside.
Yeah, they were
trash talking.
Yep. Yeah, the groom, his friends were outside, and they was like, "Man, this sucks. Let's get out here." And no, they were just being jerks, And I'm like, for real, like these are the people that he had in their wedding, and I think that kind of got on my skin too. So the next morning, man, I got up and I took off.
So I get up at 6 a.m. He didn't tell me goodbye, nothing, no hug, nothing. That hurt really bad. That hurt. It's like not a drinking hurt thing, just hurt, but it was probably from drink. And he took off, and then I can't remember. You might have let me know you're home. But then we didn't talk to each other for a year. I didn't see him for a year.
Yeah, I remember him telling me that.
And so then when I went down with Kylie and Austin in September of that year to see him, because we finally started talking a little, I knew it was my last chance to save him. I don't know how I knew that. And that's just months before he almost died. And I thought, I got to make this visit count. And I invited Kylie to go along because I thought seeing his little nephew might give him hope for life. But it's like nothing like made him want to live life. I'm not saying he wanted to die necessarily, but he just didn't want to participate in life. And as you guys now know, because you're on this side of the meadow fence, the barbed wire fence. I had an analogy last night, epiphany, or whatever you call it. Is that right?
But yeah, we're on this side of the fence now.
Now that you guys are in the deep part of the meadow, and you can understand what I mean about participating in life, and
just living.
Yeah, but I felt like maybe the nephew would, but that didn't work out so good because he was trying not to drink and around us, and you get the shakes and all this stuff was going on, and
yeah, at that time I didn't know about withdrawals really, and I don't even know if I knew it was that bad. I mean, I knew I had a problem. I knew I was drinking too much, or maybe I would drink too much in bad situations. It's kind of what I was thinking. Like maybe some situations I shouldn't really drink that much in, and wait till I'm alone to get that drunk ever again. And so for me, and now I got family coming to town. They're in my house, which is cool. I like them, but at the same time, I can't drink.
Well, way before you died,
a couple of days
before you died, listen
Jesus
to me.
Lord, please save me from my mother. She's
I'm at
FBI if you're listening to this.
Before your incident, I mean, didn't you already come to kind of a thing where you told Mike and I that you knew you had a problem and you were going to quit drinking, and so you did for 2 weeks?
Yeah, I think it lasted
2 weeks.
No, it might have lasted 30 days.
Not that time.
Because it was time I tried to quit smoking. That only lasted like 10 days.
No, this was 14 days. That's what it was, honestly. And then you went back and you kept picking it up and taking it out. But there was just one time you kind of admitted that you might have a problem, but you just were going to quit drinking. It wasn't really an admission so
Right.
much.
It was like, how can I still keep doing this on my terms again? Like, maybe if I just slow down for a couple weeks, that'll kind of reset everything, and I can go right back at it again.
But you and your sister, we won't have to go into details, got an
She doesn't
entanglement.
listen.
Well, we don't need to go into all that. An entanglement. And she was going to leave, and she got a nasty old hotel and
Yeah, it was nothing physical.
It had
Entanglement kind of sounds like physical.
blood stains on the carpet. I don't know. They
No,
look
and
like
see, and that's one of the things too. I tell people, you
she
know,
isn't
and
being logical. She's just mad and prideful, and they had made up more or less. The fight was over. There was nothing going on. We were going to go the next day out of town, all of us together, to a hotel and relax and stuff. And I'm like, just let's see how it goes. But oh no, she was mad. She was going to leave, and she had told her husband, who then got mad. It's like, you guys are coming home. So everything would have been okay if she just would have stayed, but she doesn't see it that way. But I was upset because how we left, we ended up going to a better hotel and we had to stay the night. We rented a car. We had to drive all the way to Fayetteville to get it because nowhere in Fort Smith had a car. And so we borrowed his car, but then he turns ornery. Well, I borrowed his car to take her to the nasty hotel, but I stayed with her because I didn't feel safe for her to be there with her little guy. And then he decided that he wanted me to come back, and he wanted me to bring the car back. He'd made a pizza. Then he's feeling sad, and then I felt bad, but I couldn't leave Austin. He was my main concern. And then he was, I was ready to jump off a cliff that night too. That's just way too much to get into. But I wanted to walk. Mike's calling me, and Austin hadn't eaten. We'd gotten him some food. I'm the one feeding him. Carly's on the phone talking to her other brother. And, oh my Lord, it was just a tragedy. But Corey kept calling. I want my car back by such. And then he came up with it. But by now I knew he had got to drink again, because after that all happened and we left, he's like, well, might as well drink. I don't know where he got his alcohol necessarily from, because we had his car.
Could have a cab to the liquor store.
You took a cab to
Yeah.
the liquor store? See, I never heard that part.
Yeah.
But I knew you got it, and I know later on you said you figured, well, since we were that. But then he was telling me, Mom, I want you to come back here so you'll be safe, because Kylie, his sister, and Mike, his stepdad, they've been trying to poison you and kill you, Mom. And he was crying, and it's just the crazy stuff you do and say when you're drinking.
Wow.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no, then he goes, no, Mom, seriously, I don't want you to die. Come back. Then he turned mean about it, and then we ended up having to go get the rental car. And then we went to a hotel, but we tried to get a car. We got our hotel, but we weren't going to be able to get the car till the next day or that afternoon. In the meantime, he sends the police there to our hotel. Mm-hmm. And I said, well, now that you know what the car looks like, I suspect sometimes he probably does drive drunk a little. Will you please keep an eye out for it?
Wow.
And if you ever see that car out, pull it over and see if he's been drinking. So, and the police were like, yeah, we sure will. Like, we can't believe he gave you permission. So, but he told the police that I had stole his car. Because I didn't have it back when I said I would. And so I stole his car.
Kind of, sort of is, but not my finest moment. Like, none of these stories are, and this is something that I want people to understand. Like when we first started the podcast,
and I talked to him that night on the phone too, and he was saying terrible things that I can't even remember because I just put them out of my head. But either way, I hadn't seen him in a year, and this was my time with him, and I thought, I've got to help him. This is going to be my last chance. And I just remember we finally got our car, and we gave him his car back, and we went in, we talked to him, she got her stuff, and he tried to give us the white cat that he had, which was from an ex-girlfriend that got it, and she left the cat behind, unfortunately. But it put hair everywhere, this white cat. And he put it in this little cat carrier thing and brings it out to the car and gives it to his little tiny nephew who likes kitties and thinks this is a good thing. I'm like, why would you do that? He can't take. No, I want you to have this. Take it back to Michigan. Why would you do that? And plus, he said other things to me. He was trying to be nice, but he said something really earth-shattering to me then too that hurt my world, but shook me up. But it was just a really bad time, and so I thought I was like done with him. I'm never going to see him again. I could talk to him. And I remember sitting in the windowsill at the hotel. It was kind of on a hill, and you could see the city of Fort Smith way down at the bottom of the hill, and you could see all the city lights at night. And I love lights of the city at night, on far away like that. Okay. But I was just talking to the city and just saying, please, Fort Smith, take care of him, and please, Fort Smith, be kind to him, and that kind of thing, because I thought I would never see him again. Mm-hmm. And then we drove off north somewhere the next day and had a time together, me and Kylie in Austin. But I couldn't quit crying on the way. She still doesn't understand why I was crying. It's like leaving my son forever in my mind, And we didn't really talk much after that, but Christmas came, and I wasn't even going to send him a Christmas present or anything. It's like, why should I? But I did. I sent him a little package that I don't know if it was Christmas Day. We finally talked a little bit, and you didn't even know it was there. You went and checked. Well, then in January, when he got really sick, he went to the hospital, and then Mike and I went down there. His Christmas present package was sitting you could tell how sick he had been, because this package was just sitting next to the couch, barely opened up a little bit, like he was kind of peeked in it and didn't have enough care for life to take it out, really. Mm-hmm. And there was some peanut butter and crackers, but he had been so sick right before then. I mean, really, really sick. Not just mentally or from the alcohol, but his body was shutting down. Mm-hmm. It was done. It just couldn't take anymore. And, of course, he didn't even alarm him that his blood his pee was brown, like dark brown, like, oh, I guess everybody pees dark brown these days. But I don't know what he thought. But his coworker saved his life, I say, because he noticed how yellow he was. He insisted he go to the doctor.
And okay.
He's stubborn too, don't you think?
All right, we'll get to the stubborn part in a minute. But I want to rewind back for a minute, and then I want to end with Steve, my coworker. We were talking about the wedding thing, and that happening, and me acting like a drunk person would act. Like, what would I expect? Me to act like.
And you're trying to tell us you only had 2 beers.
A good human. No, I had a couple of pints, I think. And I think I was hiding liquor at that point.
We knew you had more than 2 beers, dear.
But we love to say that. I just had a beer or 2.
Yeah.
It's never that.
Oh, no, the empty pint. That's in my suitcase. I don't know where that came from.
For the old okie doke or whatever.
We always think it's going to work, though. But no, I remember like at the wedding, or I think it was at the wedding or the reception, Mike, stepdad came up to me like, see, man, he's like, you can like enjoy yourself without getting like shit-faced, like you can have just a couple beers and be cool. And I was like, yeah.
Who said that?
Mike.
Your stepdad.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I just remember thinking, yeah, no. I mean, that sounds good in theory, but I need to go home and get trashed. And I think that is part of the reason maybe I left early that next day too, and just because I was still mad and, just hearing the other people outside like mocking my sister and her new husband, and it just made me mad, and I just was like,
when you got down there back home, you told a friend of yours at the time, who told me a complete different story of how that interaction went down that night. I'm like, no, that's not how things went, but
so that's kind of like, I can't have 1 or 2, like for me, there's no way that would ever work. And then when my sister came down and you came down, and these are things that I tell people today, like that I did and that happened to me and that I can't take back, like
no.
A friend just asked, Marnie and I went out to lunch with a friend today, and she was talking about, like resentments and shame and guilt and how do you get rid of that? And I just was like, time. When you can get to a point where you can forgive yourself and you can move on. Because the time machine is not built yet, FYI. I'm still working on it. But it's not built, and I can't go back and change anything. The only thing I can do is stay sober today,
Right.
and just show you guys, show you and Kylie, like show you and Mike and everybody, like this is who I am, and I don't want to be that guy anymore.
You're about to start crying, I can tell.
No, it's just this hot in here. So, but I mean, saying sorry again doesn't matter,
No,
but
I don't
I
need
told
any more
Kylie she was a
sorries.
horrible mother, like
Yeah, that's
that was
one
uncalled for.
thing.
But that's something I'll remember. I don't need to work the fourth step in AA over and over and over and over again. There's nothing there for me, like that's
It
kind of
was
probably why I
a,
don't work the steps. Is just
perfect storm of actually what happened.
yeah, but it had to happen though. It had to happen exactly how it did.
I don't know if a little kid hit me up the side of the head with a little
Yeah,
hard object
threw
thing
this
that holds
100-pound weight
balloon.
and cracked me in the side of my head. But
And he had told him to quit doing it in the house, and he did. But he was only 2,
yeah.
and Corey had taken him outside and was teaching him to throw this little weight thing on the end of the balloon and make the balloon go like that. He thought it's funny, so he gets in the house. He's going to do it again because he's 2. Corey told him to quit doing that in the house. But then all of a sudden he went like that to Corey because he thought Corey was going to catch it, and it got him right here. Get hit on your temple by anything.
Yeah, it was not
Plus
fun.
the temple, it's like I was trying to make people understand why he got so hot. But he did have a very bad reaction to Austin and what he said to him, and he's only 2, so I'm like, come here, honey, and Grandma held him, and Kylie was in the
I
bedroom
said,
doing
ow,
something,
what the F?
getting ready, because we were getting ready to go to lunch. And what did I say wrong?
Oh, no, I was just saying what I had said. And I was
Oh, yeah.
another big part of the story,
You
too.
just
Like I said,
did you think that was
no,
a good thing
it's
to
like-
do? Did you think that was fun? Or something like that. You said
But
something.
I had been trying not to drink for a day or 2 now.
Right.
And like I
exactly.
said, I didn't know about the whole withdrawal. I mean, I'm sure I heard about it, but I mean, I never really had to experience them. And here I am trying to act like, yep, everything's fine, everything's cool, and on the inside, I'm just like,
Irritable.
Irritable is putting it nicely. And everything is just, and people are in my space and my little thing, which, it was hard. And then, whop, upside the head. And yeah, but it had to happen that way. I had to have that kind of, not resume of bad shit that I've said to people, but Kylie is someone who I really love, and I don't ever want to hurt her like that, and
Yeah, that's why I just didn't go into. I just said you guys had an entanglement.
yeah, but I mean that's what happened, and and then calling the police on you. It's like I called the police on my own mom. Like Jesus, come on, man. It's like
More than once.
yeah.
But I called them on you, I guess, to do well checks. But one time,
Well, I called one to check on her.
Well, I think, overall, that our decision making is completely irrational and not logical, and and it's not an excuse, but it is. It's how our actions are ridiculous when we're under the influence, and we hurt a lot of people, and we make a lot of mistakes that way.
right? And if you're the loved one on the other end of it, you just gotta. I don't want to use the word understand because I know you don't want to just. I think it's dangerous to say, "Oh, I understand," and just let it happen and not like let them know that you don't think it's okay. That they drink, or just ignore their drinking, I guess is what I'm trying to say. But yet, I do not know where I was going with that.
Well, like my mom will say, like situations like that, things that we've done, decisions we've made, they're not okay. But I think the piece of what it is that makes her be able to let that stuff go is because she knows that I would never have done or said those things if I was not
Right,
intoxicated.
Right.
Doesn't make it okay. Doesn't make it an all right thing. Doesn't mean that the repercussions weren't hurtful.
Well, at the time, like for those who may have somebody that's doing those things right now, you don't want to just sit back and say, "Oh, I understand. She's
Right.
just drinking."
No,
Oh,
because
she'll be all right.
their reactions are completely valid.
Yeah, at that time.
At the
I
time.
guess that's the people that I'm speaking to at that point, at this point with that, because later on, I really hope that sometimes these words get to somebody, like you guys have said before, even if it's one person, or even if it's one parent, to give them hope to hear you guys, as the mom. Yeah, I went through some shit. I guess I'd forget, like the wedding thing, That, but then Fort Smith was even worse. It was just the worst. And not just from you either, just from the other party too. And a time in my life I never want to relive. But neither of you are that way anymore. And I love you both no matter what. And I'm glad it's over. But those struggles were so modern at the time, so there. And then one time you had 5 months, whenever that was. Mm. And then off again, and then we were on other adventures and on and on. And now just to think 2, and that's where this all conversation started. 2 years and how many, 4 months, did you say? 5 months?
5 months, 2 years and 5 months.
In so many days, I thought.
Today. And then a month from now will be 2.5 years. So
your great-grandfather passed away on this day. 33 years ago. Just
throwing it out there so anybody who knows Walter
Overmeyer.
Rest in peace.
I think so. Moment of silence.
The best grandpa in the world. He really was. Except he spanked
Moment
Corey
of silence
one
is
time.
over, I
You're
guess.
the only grandchild he ever spanked, Corey.
I'm proud of that. takes a lot. All right. Well, maybe that's where it started from.
I don't know. Yeah, Grandpa spanked me.
Let's go down the road again.
Well, he spanked Grandma.
Let's
when
backtrack
she was
it.
Little a lot, so it sounds like.
So that's a little bit about inside of my story, like the stuff that I do tell people, but I mean a lot of people don't hear. And no, I wasn't perfect, and I have a lot of things I regret. More than that even. What we talked about, but it's okay. A substance use disorder, it really takes its toll on a person, their soul, their mind, their body, everything. And like you said, Mom, you thought, all right, well, this is my last chance to save them. And then you realized you can't save me. The only way you could save me is you lock me in a room somewhere.
Any kind of influence that I could possibly give you to make you want to participate in life.
But
that would,
to save me?
I just felt like it was my last opportunity to make a pitch.
Little did you know you'd have plenty more.
Yeah, but something though? I think in January of 2015, when you almost died, and I went down there, and
that's when it got real.
Yeah, I mean, you were way stuck in the other side of the dirt road. You weren't even near the barbed wire fence. But
well, that's when it became real, and that's when I remember thinking
the
that.
barbed wire fence analogy I'm using,
what is it
Marnie,
called?
by the way.
The barbed wired fence? Is that what you call that?
He makes fun of me, but I learned how to say things from farm.
Ask her who she blamed that
Uncle John.
Yeah, why would Uncle John talk like that?
Because he did. On the farm, we always call it a barbed wire fence. Barb. B-A-R, barbed wire fence.
Okay.
But it sounds like barbed wire fence. Whatever. The fence with the prickly things.
Barbed wire, yeah.
Signifies getting clean or detoxing.
The fence.
You're trying to get into this beautiful meadow over here that you hear is so refreshing and nice, but you can't get off this dusty, nasty old dirt, muddy road, but because you got to go through this horrible. We might as well put electric on it too.
Yeah.
It's electric barbed wire fence with real sharp thingies, but you got to go through this fence. You get caught, you get hung up, you get scratched, because it's no fun detoxing. That's like
might as well lay some landmines
treacherous.
around there
Well,
while you're at it.
I don't know if we'll go that far. Well, you could. But why would you? Because we were talking about like somebody that we knew had gotten sober from what they used, and then all of a sudden they're right back at us. Like as the mom, I could never understand, because I saw his detox was not fun any of the times he went through them. And then that's just hell. Why would you get yourself out of that barbed wire fence, get all scraped up and electrified and all this stuff, and you're finally at the edge of this meadow that you can go in and start participating in? Beautiful life. But then you're just like, go back, crawl under a stupid barbed wire fence and go back in the muddy dirt again.
Yeah, but at least in the muddy dirt, we know there's the potholes there. We know they're there. We don't know what's out in that field. There's somebody waiting for us out there that's going to get us and
Marnie
take us
just
down.
put some landmines out there,
Yeah.
so I guess go be careful.
No, not in the meadow.
Oh,
I didn't put
okay.
them in the meadow, just
Yeah,
on the
but
fence line.
Rather go back to that life that we knew it's going to be bad. And if I go out there and I get halfway through the field and I think everything's hunky dory, what's taking me down? Then I got to get drugged back here. I'll just go back myself. And a lot of people do think that way without really thinking that way. But that's, in my opinion, as a professional radio broadcaster, I think that happens to a lot of people.
Voice
Where
makes me
we
laugh
get in
when I
that
hear
good
you
spot and it's so uncomfortable because we've never been there and we're waiting for it to drop. We're waiting for something bad to happen. We're waiting to just screw it up. So you know what? I'll screw it up myself, and in that way, and then we'll make an excuse. Well, school's starting, and I'm about to hit the wall in my relapse. That's loud. So I don't want to go back to school, and I'm hitting the wall. So I'll drink now, and then when school starts in 2 weeks, I'll be going through the honeymoon period. Where I'll be at that pink cloud stage and everything will be fine. And that's a much better way to start school. So like you talk yourself into this relapse because, well, it's going to happen anyway. I'm going to screw up. I might as well screw up now to where it will make sense. And then
What's the
at the end
best
of it, you
advice
realize it doesn't.
you would actually put out there? I mean, you can say all those things, and the people that are going through it or have been through it and say maybe they're clean a little bit right now and they want to stay there, they're aware of what they're like, yeah, I can relate to exactly what you're saying. Whether they are admitting it to themselves or not is another thing. But what advice would you give them?
If they asked, it wouldn't be more advice. It'd be more of a
how would you
statement
recommend?
Just don't give up. Like, don't ever stop. Because the thing is, I mean, it's a roller coaster. And, for the majority of the people that have made it to any kind of substantial amount of sobriety, it wasn't a one-time thing. It wasn't just all of a sudden I'm just not going to drink again, and then it works that way. Very, 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 very rarely is that the case.
There might be a few people out there.
Yeah, but more often than not, we've tried and fallen and failed, and then tried again and failed and tried again. And, there's nothing guaranteeing my sobriety this time around, or anybody's for that matter.
Right.
So it's a constant, challenge and constant effort and, prayer and meetings and reaching out for help that you need because we know we can't do it alone.
I know I told him one time he's going to get to a point where, he goes to meetings and he's aware of that, but where being sober seems the normal, but that seems so far down the road at that time that I said it to him. But now I've recently, not too awful long ago, heard him mention something about it on a podcast. Now he's kind of at that point where he can kind of...
Yeah. But when you can get to a point where you can think about drinking and realize that you can never drink again, and you can get to that point and be good with it.
Mm-hmm. Well, I know what I was trying to say. It's like where that's all you're thinking about, and you're not thinking about a normal life. You're not thinking about participating in life. But all of a sudden, you, like later on down the road, like now, you find yourself participating in life, and it's like that's kind of a secondary thing in your mind more than the first thing in the front of your mind.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
You can't shove it too far back, or it could happen to you again. But but that January of that year is when everything flipped. Yeah, you had a lot of incidences along the way, but that was really the beginning of coming this way. The first times, like at the wedding and the time that you did try to quit and you quit for 14 days and all that stuff, that wasn't, you hadn't really got there yet,
Mm-hmm.
But everything began in January.
Well, it took a long time for me to just come to terms and be okay with I can never drink again. I don't even know when it happened. If it was after this rehab, if it was in sober living, or I don't remember. I mean, maybe when, I don't know. I knew I was on probation for a year, and I wasn't going to drink then. So I don't know. Maybe in there somewhere, I kind of worked it into where I was good with it, and I accepted that. I can never drink again. I can never use any drugs.
And the judge, all the things he said, and all that scariness, and I know the day that he put you back in, you didn't even think you were going to go to jail, and then he's like, yeah, kind of, but you weren't really so sure because your lawyer said you might not have to. And you're like, I probably won't even have to. But I made you hand me all your cash, which was a good thing. You were a little surprised, but either way,
Had to happen.
I know that's why your sister prayed that you would go to jail because she knew it would wake you up. Some people it might not affect, and not to put people down, but there are some people, they really, really don't care if they're in jail. Maybe that's their life, the way they grew up. I don't know, but I think that your sister knew your personality well enough to know that it's not really you, and that would break you. That would be what would break you.
Well, jail's a scam anyway.
Well, either way, it broke you.
You didn't break me.
I'm not giving jail the credit.
No, jail, it's not I mean, I would call it like a really shitty rehab. Really, I mean, I don't know. It's
Right,
not
but
as
it
bad
was
as
a
people make it
wake-up
out to
call
be,
for
but it's
you.
it's no
You
fun
don't wanna
places.
go
I'd rather
back and
not
live
be
there.
there. No.
You don't want to go back and live
No,
there.
I'd
right?
rather not be there.
Exactly.
But it's not like
That's what I'm
it
saying.
didn't break me. I just would rather not be there. But that's the first time I had consequences, and
That's what I mean.
I wanted to get off the paper. I wanted to get off the paper, not be on the law books anymore.
Oh, yeah.
So,
right.
what that meant, and, the lawyer said something to me too, and I talked about this a million times about when's the last time you've been sober for a year? And I was like, I don't know, maybe I was 12. Like, I don't know.
That sounds real good on my part that I didn't even know you were drinking at that age, I'm sure.
Yeah, that's what happens.
He wasn't going around drunk all the time, everybody. Please don't think that.
But the last time I had a year without drinking, it was probably 11 or 12.
15?
No. So that was kind of like eye-opener too, like, wow. And he said, this might just save your life. And he was absolutely right. And I'm sure it did save my life. So those bad times, those bad things at the moment that we think are just so horrible, and, oh, why is this happening to me? And maybe that's there to save your life, like some good can come out of it. Just because it's bad right now doesn't mean that it's the worst thing that's ever happened to you.
It's so hard as a parent, though, because you almost want to grab you and shake you and say, what's wrong with you? That's why I tried to get him to put you in the mental hospital that time. Maybe some of you parents out there are struggling, try doing that once. Because that wasn't no fun for him. He did not like that. But I'm thinking, if you keep having the same thing happen over and over again from the same result, they call that insanity or something like that.
No, I think it was Albert Einstein or somebody termed it that. But
The definition of
he's
insanity
pretty
is doing the
stupid.
same thing, expecting a different result. Mm-hmm. And going through the detox, that's hell. Like I said, getting caught up in that fence and keep going back under, it's like, holy hell, you can't have there has to be a screw loose. I don't know, I hate to put it that way, but it's like there's something mentally affecting you, which actually later on you did find out there were things that were bottled up deep inside of you. But where else would they find this but a mental place? So me and this angel nurse got him committed to the hospital thing. I was laughing because it was not where he needed to go. They gave him this little box fan, okay? And he's in the wheelchair, and they're rolling him down to this place, and I'm walking along, and he's like, oh, I'm dying, it's so hot. Here's this little fan straight on his little head like this, blowing his head. And I'm thinking, and he's saying, I don't need to be in this crazy place. And I'm thinking, and I said to him, I said, son, you're not making a very convincing argument for yourself with
Oh my gosh.
being wheeled with a fan on his
And
head.
there, I met
I think
Joe
you were
Cool.
nervous and scared too, but
It's humping tables. I'm like, I don't need to be in here, man.
you didn't. But yet, I think, you learned something. You did. That you're not crazy. So straighten up, die right.
Yeah.
I heard that. I don't
It
know.
was fly right, but
Straighten up and fly right.
it could be part of the barbed wire. Anyway, I think we should wrap this up because, again, when I started the podcast, was talking about the thing I found with the frustrations. I don't know if this Wi-Fi will let us publish this anytime this week, but the longer we go, the more data that I have
this
to
is just
go back to 1996 to get to the internet connection of the Wi-Fi router, and then upload it back to 2021 standards, and then it's to send it back through, and it's a lot of the process. So we should wrap it up.
All right.
All right, Mom, thanks for coming on and
Well, thanks for having me.
having some words with us. Really do appreciate it. And Marnie will have
Glad you guys are
a
here.
episode tomorrow for her Sunday night replay.
Yep.
So look for that tomorrow and enjoy this. Hopefully enjoy the podcast. Mom, is this where you want to make fun of me for telling people how to listen?
Oh, yeah. Like, if you're here now, you found it. Yay, you're here. Keep doing it. Whatever you did to find us, keep on doing it.
Now, did
'Cause
you...
if not, if you're like hearing this from a neighbor's car or something, you think, how can I get that? Corey will tell you now, but you already know
Well, why don't you
where
tell
to
him-
find him.
how do
'cause
you get it?
found him. I have an app on my phone.
Okay, here we go. Now
That
we're
he
going
forced
places.
me to do, so I just click on that.
She has the
But
217
I
Recovery
also
app.
used to just go to my browser and go 217, and then it's all farther I'd have to get, and it'd drop down. I'd click on 217recovery.com, and
website.
then I would go right to podcast, and boom, you'd be there. So
But you never Pandora or iHeartRadio or
well, I need them
Spotify.
ding on things.
It was around there
Alexa.
too.
Yeah, but
You can just tell Alexa to listen
it
to it
doesn't
too.
make you any different. Sound different.
There's just
the words
easier
come
ways
out
to
the
get it.
same.
Different people.
I
have
know that
different
was pretty
things.
easy. Browser 217. It drops down immediately because I had already put it in before.
Yep, 217recovery.com/podcast. So bring
Click,
up the whole.
click, boom.
And you can listen to every single one. You can scroll all the
But
way
the
down.
app is easy. The one I got, I couldn't tell you who's.
You got it from your Google Play Store. It was free.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's the 217 Recovery app. Feel free to get that. There's meetings on there. Have the daily reflections,
Now that stuff's important.
readings, and reflections. And I'm starting to load up some of the older podcasts. I think I have April, May, and June from 2019 loaded up, and I need to work on July. And then, of course, all of 2020. I think I have one episode from 2020 up there right now. And I put it on there just because I wanted to make it appear on the app. So, yeah, listen to some old podcasts. Go back to your favorites. We have one that's just with guests, too. So, listen to that, whatever. But
Can I do a shout out even though it's not Thursday? But I
not
never see you on Thursdays.
Sure.
you gotta email
Shout
those
out to
in.
all the parents and loved ones out there.
All of them?
Yeah.
Yeah, with loved ones that are going through things.
Okay.
Okay.
We'll allow it. All right. Well, thanks for listening. 217recovery.com for more resources.
Sandy
and get
out.
the app and win a free T-shirt.
And Sandy out.
That's not how you
Good night,
do it.
everybody.
Good night.
All right, see ya.